everyone, welcome to another RouterGods video. My name is Humphrey Cheung, and we're going to finish up QOS lab, and we're going to do part 2, which is our 4-router topology. In a previous part, what we did is we configured R1 to match the traffic coming from PC1, which is in the boss's office, and we set the IP precedence on those packets to 5, which is critical. Now what we want to do is we want to go on R2 and give the boss's traffic priority. So we're going to match on the IP precedence 5. We're going to give it 20% of the bandwidth, and then we're going to hook it onto an interface. And then we're going to pretend that fast Ethernet 01 goes out to the internet. Right now this interface is shut down, but we're just going to pretend that the internet is somewhere out here. So in effect, we are thinking that router 2 is your border router. You can think of it as a Linksys router if you have DSL, or maybe it's the border router to your T1 or T3 line. All right, so let's take router 2, pop it over here, and first we're going to configure a class map. So class map, and we need to give it a name. We're going to give it a name that matches what we want to do. Okay, so it has to be something that makes sense. So we're going to call it match boss precedence. So match boss precedence. We might even put a 5 in front of there. So match boss precedence 5, hit enter. And what do we want to match? We want to match precedence value of 5. That was pretty easy. Going to exit out of there, and then we're going to set our policy map. So policy map. We're going to call it boss priority 20. And this way, when you do a show run or you show policy map, you do those commands, you can see exactly what this policy map and what the class map does just by looking at the name. So it cuts down on your troubleshooting time. Now we're going to hook that on to class match boss precedence 5. And what do we want to do? We want to give it a certain amount of percent priority on that line. So priority question mark, and here's what's cool. You can do it by kilobits, or you can give it by percent. Percent is pretty cool. So priority percent 20. That works out pretty good. So we'll exit out of there. Now finally we need to do service policy. And let's say you didn't know which way and which interface to hook this onto. And you say, okay, well maybe it's fast 00 would make sense. So let's give it a shot. We'll interface fast 00, service policy, and input. Hey, why not? And then boss priority 20. Now it's going to scream at us. Class-based weighted fair queuing can be enabled as an output feature only. So what they're telling you is that you can't do this coming inbound. You have to only do it outbound. And so what we need to do is actually go to interface fast 01 out here, which is going out towards the internet, and we need to configure the service policy. So interface fast 01, service policy output, and the name of the policy map, boss priority 20, and there we go. I'm going to exit out of there and verify by show policy map, interface fast 01, and you can see here, this is our class map, all that wonderful information. Class map matches IP precedence 5, and then it is strict priority. And you can see here the bandwidth is set at 20%, which is actually pretty cool. All right, so that was part 2 of our QoS lab. We basically went into R2, set the class map, policy map, and service policy. We matched IP precedence 5. We then gave it a percent, priority percent 20, and then we hooked it outbound on router 2's fast 01 interface. And then finally we verified that by typing in show policy map interface fast 01. Pretty easy, but there's a lot of steps, a lot of ways you can mess up, and probably usually what's going to happen is you're going to mess up on the naming. You didn't match the name, so maybe instead of typing in boss priority 20, you typed in boss priority 2. And a lot of times what you'll see is people will mess up on where the service policy goes. So you put it on the wrong interface, or you, instead of outbound, you put it outbound on fast 00 instead of outbound on fast 01. All right, so that was QoS Lab Part 2. Thanks for watching.